Greetings. Hope this finds you well. So you've probably seen the stories on social media or different political figures. Even Biden alluded to the supposed beheadings of 40 babies, 40 children by the Palestinian resistance, even though there has been no credible evidence to support this at all. It was a assertion made by somebody in the Israeli military, and there's been no evidence to back it up, but it has been repeated over and over and over again, and it's just more propaganda to justify the continued genocidal tactics being used by the Israeli military against the Palestinians, particularly the ones in Gaza right now. So this is a pretty interesting article laying out just exactly that there is no proof Palestinian fighters beheaded any babies, as the title says there. The only source is a radical settler right there, Major Ben David Zion. One story has been dominating U.S. international media cycle over the past 24 hours, been repeated by pro-Israeli activists, Israeli government officials, reporters, and anchors throughout the U.S. media, and even alluded to by the president. Thing is, the story has not been confirmed in any way. It appears to come from a single source with the history of espousing calls for genocidal violence against Palestinians. Heard the story that Hamas fighters beheaded 40 Israeli children in the Kfar Aza community in Gaza. Story can be traced back to an article by Beltrue, a reporter for The Independent. I believe that's a UK outlet, right? True entered Kfar Aza on October 10th, soon after the Israeli army reported on Twitter that gunfire erupted just as they arrived. She is told by a member of the Israeli military that children were beheaded, but the article notes the Independent did not see evidence of that. So then why report it? Because they're maybe going along with these same narratives as well, right? Military source of this claim is Major Ben David Zion. According to his Twitter bio, he's the deputy head of the Settler Leadership Organization, the Samaria Regional Council, and member of the board of directors of the National Fund for Israel, quasi-government agencies to acquire land in Palestine that is then made available exclusively by the use of the Israeli state. In this video clip, Ben Zion speaks directly to the camera. He says the soldiers found children with their heads cut off. He is incorrectly named on screen in the video, but is correctly named in the description below on YouTube.
And a lot of them in the houses. They cut heads. They cut heads of children. They cut heads of women. We saw babies' tools, etc.
Okay, then give me some evidence of that, Ben Zion.
They came with just one mission: to kill more and more Jewish without.
Has nothing to do with people being Jewish. It has everything to do with the people having stolen the land, having ethnically cleansed the Palestinians, to the continued persecution, murder, having the people, the Palestinians in Gaza, living in concentration camp, which is now being turned into a extermination camp. It's nothing to do with the people being Jewish. And again, a lot of Jewish people, both in Israel and outside of it, are speaking out against the Israeli government, speaking out against Zionism. Doesn't have anything to do with people being Jewish. That actually, by saying that, it actually is quite anti-Semitic. In addition to his role in settler leadership, he has a history to cause to genocidal violence. Earlier this year, Israeli settlers carried out a so-called reprisal attack on the Palestinian village of Huwara after an unknown Palestinian gunman killed 2 Israeli settlers. As reported at the time, Israeli settlers launched a pogrom on the night of February 26, attacking Palestinian homes and property in Huwara, Bahrain, and across the Nablus area, burning houses, cars, vandalizing property, and assaulting Palestinians. Following the reprisal attack on Huwara carried out by the Israeli settlers, Ben Zion wrote in a now deleted tweet. So you could see why. Well, let's read it first. Here in Huwara, the blood of our children, the resident of Samaria, who were murdered here an hour ago, is spilled on the road. The village of Huwara should be erased today. Enough with the talk of building and strengthening the settlement. The deterrence that was lost needs to be restored immediately, and there's no room for mercy. Okay, can you see why a settler with this type of attitude would make up stories about women and children being beheaded? Okay, just to further dehumanize the Palestinian people, to further the genocidal cause of the Israeli regime. And the Independent wasn't the only outlet to run the story. Later on the 10th, according to the Times of Israel, the IDF took the foreign press on a tour of Kfar Aza to survey the scene, document the carnage left by the attack. Nicole Sadek, a reporter with I-24 News, they're very closely connected with Netanyahu, filed a report repeating the claim that Hamas fighters beheaded children in the community. Quote, some soldiers say they found babies with their heads cut off, entire families gunned down in their beds. Article also noted the bodies of about 40 babies and young children have been taken out on gurneys. Here, Major Bandit wrote a similar story to I-24 News. So the same person.
We walk door after door. We killed a lot of the terrorists. We're stronger than them. They are aggressive. They are very bad. They cut head of children, cut head of women, but we are stronger than them.
Okay, cut off there for some reason at the end. So CNN, I-24, The Independent initially. It was not long before social media sites filled up with claims that Hamas fighters had beheaded 40 babies in Kfar Aza. On October 11th, Israeli journalist Oren Ziv, who was also on tour of Kfar Aza, wrote on Twitter, during the tour, we didn't see any evidence of this, and the army spokesperson or commanders also didn't mention any such incidents. He continued, soldiers I spoke with in Kfar Aza yesterday didn't mention beheaded babies, the army's spokesperson stated. We cannot confirm at this point. We are aware of the heinous acts Hamas is capable of. So there's clearly no evidence of this, but then this got shared and magnified, amplified all over social media. Again, as this article points out, Biden even alluded to it in one of his remarks. But it didn't happen. But it served the narrative to further dehumanize and legitimize the further genocidal acts that have been and continue to be committed against the Palestinians. We don't know exactly who the reporters on the tour spoke to, but as yet, no independent news publication appears to have verified the claim by Major David Ben Zion about finding beheaded children in Kfar Aza. Israeli military has even denied having evidence of the event. And other similar horrific stories that have been reported, like the rapes. LA Times retracted similar unconfirmed reports of rape. Reporters are beginning to clarify or retract their statements about this claim of beheading. We'll continue to follow the story. Of course, it's horrific if it happened. The world needs to know about it because it's an indefensible war crime. Will color it and inform how we understand the unfolding event. But again, I would say if anybody, or these two sides, the Palestinians or the apartheid settler colonial regime, who has a history of keeping kids in cages, keeping children locked up indefinitely, murdering press, murdering peaceful protesters. It's the apartheid regime. It's not Hamas and these resistance groups. But if it did not happen, it's also important that the world know that a member of the Israeli military lied to journalists about such a gruesome crime and in the process helped create a global story, no bearing of fact beyond the claim of one person whose own history should put his trustworthiness under deep suspicion. Oh, too much talking today. Let's see. This is about Libya, maybe? Yeah, exactly. Saddam Hussein has WMDs. The Iraqis are throwing babies from incubators. Shireen Abu Akleh was surrounded by militants, caught in the crossfire. Yeah. Or there was other stuff about about Gaddafi before the U.S. NATO overthrew the Libyan government and completely destroyed that country. There was a lot of lies and propaganda at that time, and this is just another example of that, again, used to justify the continued just gruesome, brutal, genocidal tactics that the Israeli government is using against the Palestinians in Gaza and outside of it, again, with the unconditional support of another settler colonial state, that being the U.S., right? Peace, much love, all power and solidarity with the Palestinian people as they continue their struggle for freedom. So the banner down there says, "From the river to the sea, Palestine."